Hello, everyone out there in YouTube world, Facebook world, social media world, the world. Welcome to another edition of Musings with MGL. I'm sure you've all been anxiously waiting for me to do a video. I haven't done one for a couple weeks with the election and everything going on. I've been kind of busy, but now that it's over, everybody's probably anxiously awaiting my thoughts on the election. So before we get started, as always, please click the subscribe button down at the bottom. A little bit of a side rant. As you may know, a lot of us conservative commentators are starting to get blacklisted on a lot of these social media sites, including YouTube. You can see people getting kicked off your subscribers. You can see the search engines not coming up with your searches. So it really helps to build the channel up. The more subscribers you get, the harder it is for them to do those type of things. So I really don't want to start getting blackballed on all these social media sites. So if you do like what I have to say, or any other conservative channels out there, or people who have don't toe the company line for big tech, like their channel, subscribe on their channels, comment on their things. It makes it harder for them to be demonetized and deplatformed and everything else. So all right. So let's get into it. So here's where we are with the election. I'm not going to get into too many specifics about it. As everyone knows, I'm kind of a Second Amendment guy. I kind of geared towards Second Amendment stuff. So I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about my thoughts on the election, and then kind of talk about how it might affect us Second Amendment people as we go. So currently, obviously, as we are here today, they are still counting the votes and everything else like that. And again, I got to be a little bit careful what I talk about, because YouTube's flagging things if you talk about anything that they don't agree with. So let's just suffice it to say we don't know who the president is as we sit here today. I don't care what the media says. I don't care what your friends say. Nobody knows who the president is as we sit here today. It's still being litigated until we get a final answer and somebody's actually sworn in January. We won't have a president. So setting that aside, there's a lot of talk out there in the Second Amendment community, a lot of fear, what's going on, what happens if the other side gets in, what are they going to do, what can they do? The answer is, right now, I don't have an answer for you. There are a lot of things that they could do, but a lot of it's going to depend on the Senate. And again, not getting bogged down into too much politics, but as everyone probably knows by now, there's a couple of seats in Georgia that are still up for election. They're going to have a runoff in January. And when you look at the numbers right now on the Senate, they are a couple of seats short of being able to do basically whatever they want to do. Obviously, if they end up getting 50-50 in the Senate, and then Kamala Harris can break the tie, then they can basically get rid of the filibuster, and then they can pass whatever legislation that they want. They can stack the courts, all those kind of things. So until January, when we figure out what happens with the Senate, and until January when we actually figure out what's going on with the president too, then we'll be able to have a better idea of how much danger we are in. They could do anything ranging from, if they win the Senate, then they can pass whatever they want, basically. They can end the filibuster. They still have a majority in the House, so if everybody wants to vote party lines, they could do another assault weapons ban. They can do a high-capacity magazine ban. If they're willing to blow up the filibuster, which they've already said that they're willing to do, then they can pretty much ram through anything that they want. Now, all those things will be challenged, obviously. It will go to the Supreme Court, which hopefully, with now a 6-3 allegedly conservative majority on the court, a lot of those things might be declared unconstitutional. That's the hope. There's a significant number of appellate judges as well that have been appointed by Trump and sent through by the McConnell Congress that are pretty conservative, so they may also come through in the end and kick down a lot of these crazy laws that may pop up in some of these liberal states out there. But we'll have to wait and see, because, again, it all depends on whether they control the Congress or not. If they don't control the Senate, Republicans keep those two houses in Georgia, and they control the Senate, then they're not going to be able to get something like an assault weapons ban through, because they still need the 60 votes to do it, because they're not going to blow up the filibuster, because the Republicans will be in charge. So then you're talking about, well, what can they do that's not legislative based? Then you're talking about things like executive orders. So again, they could start signing executive orders, trying to ban high-capacity magazines, trying to ban, quote, scary assault weapons, all those kind of things. So then you've got executive orders that could be issued. But then again, they're all going to be challenged in the Supreme Court. And again, one would hope with a 6-3 alleged majority. I don't think Judge Roberts is actually a conservative, so my opinion is a 5-4 conservative court. But assuming they vote the way they should vote, then a lot of those executive orders will also get struck down as being unconstitutional. What I think the most likely thing that they could do is play around the edges with the administrative agencies. In other words, they'll go into the ATF, and you might see something like the ATF all of a sudden decide that stabilization braces are, in fact, short barrel rifles. We've talked about this before, where the ATF goes back and forth on that. Are they legal? Are they not legal? Which ones can you have? Which ones can't you have? And I could see a DOJ run by the Biden department going in there and telling the ATF to just go ahead and make them illegal, to just play around the edges like they did with the bump stock. Now, again, that was under Trump, and I don't like him for that. But you could see similar things happen in the ATF. So I think you could see some administrative agencies do those type of things. You could maybe have some other regulatory agencies kick in some weird regulations as far as import and export on certain firearms and certain magazines and certain ammo, because of the immigrations and customs could create some new immigration and customs laws as far as what can be shipped in and what can't. They can play around with trying to add certain taxes to certain things that come in from other countries. So there are things that they can do like that around the edges in an administrative process. And again, all of those can also be challenged as well as being unconstitutional and sent to the Supreme Court. So hopefully they'll rule the way that they will, and we'll go from there. So there is a lot of panic out there. There's a lot of worry out there, and it is all going to come down to these races in Georgia. So my opinion is if both those seats in Georgia go Democrat, then they'll have a majority in the Senate and House of Representatives. And if Biden ends up president, then I think we're in for a world of hurt, because then I think they're just going to ram everything through that they can, and then we're putting all our hope into the Supreme Court. If the Republicans, if Trump obviously wins the presidency, then I'm not worried about any of it. If the Republicans can hold the Senate, I'm not super worried about any of it. But right now, everything's still up in the air, because, again, we don't know who's going to win the presidency and who's not, and we don't know what's going to happen with these Senate seats in Georgia. There's a lot still going on. So everybody just kind of hold your brakes a little bit. Let's kind of wait and see how things play out over the next couple months, and then we'll have a better idea of what to do about it. If you want to go out and start buying, extra ARs and stocking up on high-capacity magazines, I mean, that's always in my opinion, it's always a good idea to do that, regardless of whether you think a band's coming or not, because you should have whatever you need already. You shouldn't be panic buying anything. I did a whole video on that before. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. But my concern is, obviously, what happens with this presidential election, and then what happens with these Georgia elections. So I wish I could give you all a little bit better idea of what I think is going to happen going forward, but unlike the mainstream media and unlike certain people, I'm not going to declare this over or declare victory on certain things until it's actually over. So right now, everything's still up in the air. So hang in there as conservatives, as Second Amendment, freedom-loving people. It's not over yet. Things are still being fought. Things are still being litigated. And so let's wait and see how things kind of shake out, and then I'll be able to come back and let you know where we're at as far as how it's going to affect your Second Amendment rights. But let's just see how it plays out. In the meantime, as always, stay vigilant, stay strong. Let's keep working on this, and it's not over yet, and let's just keep fighting. And then I will be able to come back and give you some more information when the time comes. But keep your eye on Georgia, because that's what's going to turn everything here, okay? All right, as always, again, click, like, share, subscribe, tell all your friends about it, and stay safe, stay healthy, stay vigilant, and as always, carry on.